Blue, in your own words, what are humans messing up? Blue, excuse me. Just like, I got things to do, human. Okay, maybe later. Good interview. Hey guys, Jamieleigh here from BirdTricks, and I'm here with my little budgie Blueberry to talk to you about the top 2 mistakes that people make with budgies. So before we get started in this video, I want you to comment down below and tell me what you think are the top 2 mistakes that people make with these tiny but mighty little birds.
Oh my god, look at him. Is he done? He's off. Come up. We're gonna stop the water. Now for him to come up so he doesn't want to soar. Keep in the water. Now it looks like he wants up. So, you grab him. Right on up there. Blueberry! He's like ready to.
You can move around. You don't have to stay in that one spot.
Blueberry! Blue!
Wait till he's paying attention.
Blueberry! Blueberry. Blueberry.
Well, you gave him the hand signal.
Yeah. Blueberry.
Make sure he's facing you and looking at you before you call, okay?
So, Blueberry.
Good, that was perfect.
Over here. Blueberry. I kissed me for her.
I saw. All right, so the top 2 mistakes that I see most commonly made with budgies is number 1, not interacting right away, and number 2, believing that they need to live their entire lives out on an all-seed diet and that they can never convert to pellets or never convert to fresh food. So the first one I'm going to tackle is the not interacting right away. A lot of the times when you take fear out of the question or out of the picture for birds, so say they are fearful of you when they first get brought home. When you first bring a bird home, everything's new, everything can be very overwhelming, and especially from a pet shop bird, when you first bring it home, it usually wants nothing to do with you. So the moment that you try to interact, the bird of course is very fearful and pulls away or flies away or just tries to get away from you, letting you know that it doesn't want to interact. A lot of people choose to respect that, put the bird in its new cage and let it settle for about a week. And what happens in that week is that bird learns to see its cage as a very comforting place where nothing bad happens to it. And anytime the humans try to interact with the bird's very resistant, very fearful. And so the people just constantly back off and say, I don't want to stress the bird out, I don't want to upset the bird. And eventually it turns into the bird doesn't want to interact with me, and so they just leave it alone. Eventually enough time passes where this bird is completely not tame and doesn't want to interact with people, that the people feel really guilty that it has to stay in the cage all the time. And the reason it has to stay in the cage all the time in that scenario is because if they let it out, they could never get it back in, or it'd be so traumatizing to get it back in that it wouldn't be worth it. So a lot of the time, birds end up being caged all the time. People feel guilty about this, and so they get it a buddy. And now this can go one of two ways. The buddy can actually be a true buddy, or it can be a little enemy where they don't get along and they're actually hurting each other, in which case they have to be separated. It's kind of a roll of the dice when you get your bird a pal, because you're picking it out, the bird's not picking it out. So although I have heard of some people doing some birdie dating services and letting their birds pick the bird. So I think that goes on in some places. If you've ever heard of that, leave a comment so people don't think I'm totally wacky for even saying that. I have heard of it, I promise. So then what happens is if the birds take to each other and they're pals, then they both decide to be fearful of humans, and the humans just kind of think, well, at least I got my bird a buddy and I don't feel so guilty for leaving it in the cage all the time. So now it's two caged birds all the time, and they never interact with people except to get food and water. And usually that food is the seed diet that they come on from the pet shop. So the reason this scenario plays out the way that it does is because the bird was never taught to overcome fear. So for example, when the bird showed that it didn't want to interact with a person, the person backed off and said, okay, I won't introduce the fear, which is myself, for example, or the person. So then I'll back off and I'll leave you to do your own thing. And as the time goes by, the fear gets worse and worse and more ingrained in the bird of, yeah, that is a valid fear. You should be fearful of that. And the more that the person backs off and doesn't interact, the worse the fear will get. So if you look at it from trying to overcome the fear on day 1 versus day 30, it's going to be easier to overcome that fear because it didn't have time to fester and grow on day 1 as it did on day 30. That's why I'm so pro interact right away. And interact right away doesn't mean force yourself on the animal. It just means give the animal the opportunity to show you that it wants to interact. And maybe that's through feeding the bird in your lap or even next to you and just doing some fun little things with your bird. Right? You're kind of chopped off in this. I need to like figure out my camera. Let me see, because you're so cute. I want people to see you. There. We'll just do a different angle so they can see your cute little self. So the cool thing is, and I know I'm gonna get a lot of people saying that maybe this is coming off anti more than one bird, which I'm definitely not. The whole thing though is that I prefer somebody gets one bird, tames and trains and works with that bird, and then gets a second bird, does the same thing, works, tames and trains with that bird, and then socializes those two birds together. So you have a very confident and comfortable relationship with each bird on its own versus trying to work with two birds that usually works against you because one's more fearful than the other, one wants to interact while the other one doesn't, and it can just get a little bit chaotic trying to train more than one bird at a time, and you moved out of the frame. Blueberry. They want to see your cute little self. Oh, so I put him right where you can't see him. He's there. Or she. We're still not going by male or female because we don't know. Oh man, that toy is right in that spot. Blue, I should have set the scene up for this. It's like, what are you doing, human? Okay, how about we take that toy off so they can see you? All right, so what does interacting right away look like? A lot of the times when birds first come home from the store or the breeder, they're pretty full, so food doesn't really go a long way, but letting them just get used to what goes on in your home is really awesome, especially when they're out of the cage. So I like to do my first day home out of the cage. Now this is something you have to be super mindful of if you have other pets. I do not. I only have birds. So it was really easy for me to have Blueberry out of the cage all the time on the first week, really, while we worked with her. And not worry about a dog or a cat or anything getting to her. So made it pretty awesome for us. That will be something that you have to play by ear in the safety of your own home. But it was something that really worked for us and was a lot of fun. It also leans itself to a lot of opportunities where you get to help your bird in a positive way. So for example, Blueberry was clipped when she came to us from the pet shop, and she would end up at places that were nerve-wracking for her. She didn't want to be there, and we could go over and offer our hands and scoop her up and then take her to the place that we knew she wanted to be or was comfortable on, which was a lot of these stands. But the cool thing about these stands is that they're out in the open, and we have them all around our house, so we could change up which one she was on. And just out of natural curiosity, the bird tends to go places, and it just leaves you opportunity to be able to physically interact as well as just go over and talk to the bird. And then also what we did is we constantly offered food options. We would make food, we would do a lot of things where she could get into things that she wasn't supposed to. She actually was. But when birds don't think they're supposed to do something, they're all about it. So we did a lot of that, and it just lent itself to a lot of interaction opportunities where I don't feel like letting a bird settle into a cage for 7 days does that. It really just teaches the bird to believe its fear of people. So that's the number one thing I would say that people do wrong with budgies. The second thing is the diet, as I mentioned before. A lot of people think that they go and they get from the pet store a complete diet, and it's a seed diet. Now, these guys can suffer greatly from all seed diets, and they live very short lives because of it. So I will say that with small birds, I found they prefer crunchy textures. And because they're tiny, you don't have to make fresh food in huge batches like you normally see me do for my medium and large birds. Holy molting, man. All these feathers just coming down. And so you can do it in smaller sizes, and you can do it more often. So you can just make a little fresh batch on the go every single morning and toss it into a little food processor all at once and get it going for these guys. I noticed that she definitely loves the crunchy textures, and she'll go to town on a full green bean or something like that. She just loves playing with food. So give these guys opportunity to play with their food. I know that a lot of you, I hear and I see comments of, my bird's just wasting the food, he's not actually eating it, he's just picking it apart and destroying it. That's the first step to converting a bird to a good diet, is teaching them to play with healthy foods. No matter how they're interacting with their healthy food, as long as they're interacting, you're golden and you're on your way. Another tip for small birds is giving them fresh greens. Now, I know Blueberry loves sprouts. That's something that you can offer that's really, really fun for them. And especially if they're a little bit damp, they tend to like to roll on it and rub themselves on it so that they can kind of get wet and take a bath that way as they would in the wild. So little bit of wet grass goes a long way. So the other thing is pellet conversion. I know this can be a lot harder, but once you get a bird on fresh food and eating fresh food, you can then implement pellets by just powdering them and sprinkling that powder throughout different recipes that you try for your bird. For instance, Blueberry loves eggs. She loves when we cook eggs, and about every morning my daughter and my husband have omelets, and they will make Blueberry a little side omelet, and they will sprinkle all of her favorites on top, including pellets, and that's one of the ways that we got her onto a healthier diet. Even if you guys have to do this for a total of 6 to 9 months, it's completely worth it and it's totally normal. These guys can take a long, long time to convert solely over to healthy foods. Now keep in mind, I do keep seed as part of their diet, but that part comes from us, or it's used as a tool to get them to eat those other foods. So that was a feather. Loose feather. So we try to use the seed to our advantage as tools to either get the bird to eat healthier foods or to do some really fun bonding through training, which is super fun. Yeah. The other thing you can use it for is other healthy things like teaching them to forage, which Blueberry, whoa, did you get scared? Blueberry, she's back on top. I might have scared her. But Blueberry never showed any problems understanding how to play with toys, so we didn't have to do too much of that, although I did spend a little bit of time training her to accept different textures of toys so that she wasn't picky about which one she played with, which, as you can see, she's pretty open to any type. And this one's really fun. It's our 3 Sons exclusive toy from Parrot Joy that she made for us to represent our 3 son Conures, which you're probably not understanding because you didn't see that there's 3. Oh, and Blueberry is demoing. Eating good stuff. Woo, wrong way. Eating good stuff, Blue? Alright guys, if you are enjoying this content with this cute little nugget right here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, the thumbs up, and share this with somebody that you know that needs this information for their birds. And don't be afraid to help and share good information in the avian community so we can better the lives of birds everywhere. And thank you for helping us save parrots one person at a time.